I've never thought of it that way, and I think that that's perfect because I say all the time, like if you find a husband on a sitcom, they're always the dumb one, bumbling around, or the absent one, right? It's
Mm,
either or. It's
mhm.
never like the normal, man, right? Just being a guy. It's always either or, and that's perfect. Yeah, you're right. Married with Children.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Hey guys, we are not your average men. I am Chris Bailey with Expedition Marriage, and I am here with Brad Valencia from Unrelenting Pursuit. And this is what happens when you put two of us together without our wives. Uh, we, we,
Exactly.
we, we start talking about some real men things, some real men topics, and get to chatting about things that guys need to hear because we're really seeing that struggle with guys about not talking about the things we need to be talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love this. I love it. This is a first episode, and our wives left us alone to our own devices, and here we go.
I
I
feel like
love
there
it.
should be a moo.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have that sound effect on my side, but 100%.
But that's where it goes. Well, because look, there's an issue today, man, with men, and I've said it on my podcast. I know you've talked about it on your
Mhm.
podcast, where look, we're not trying to beat anybody up. We're not trying to beat anybody down. Heavens no, we're trying to
Um,
call men up. I mean, there's been a deficit
mhm.
for a while. I don't know. It's almost seems ever since um
Mm.
what's that TV show with
Which-
Love and Marriage?
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Married with Children?
yeah,
Is
ever
that where
since
you're
Married
going?
with Children. That's
Oh,
where I'm going. It
listen.
seems like that was like the unthreading of men needing to be active in
Well,
their
you know
marriage.
what? Like I've never thought of it that way, and I think that that's perfect because I say all the time, like if you find a husband on a sitcom, they're always the dumb one, bumbling around, or the absent one, right? It's
Mm,
either or. It's
mhm.
never like the normal, man, right? Just being a guy. It's always either or, and that's perfect. Yeah, you're right. Married with Children.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, I look, we haven't done the research.
Oh
We're
yeah, no.
just, this is what's going on. Now, there is somebody who did some research, and I got some here from an article that it was talking about the churches in the US. And here, I'm going to read some of these stats
Yeah,
because
please.
it's just, yeah. A typical US congregation draws an adult crowd that's 61% female and only 39% male. And
Mm,
that showed that that's across all age
yeah,
categories.
yeah.
So
That,
it's,
and then you look at our world today,
mm,
or you look at America today, and you're
oh,
like,
yeah.
well, what's going on? Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, just I love like going back real quick. Like you said, we're calling men up,
Sure.
not calling men out. And I love that. I just read that in a devotion or something. I don't know. I actually read a lot. I know it might not look like it. Uh, but I read it somewhere and I thought it was so good because I come from a background of calling men out where
Mm,
you
mhm.
challenge each other. Like that's the circle I'm around with work. And so like I'm used to that. But what I liked about that change is just what you're saying is like we're not trying to make shame people, right? We're not
Right.
trying to shame men, but at the same time, we're trying to be challenging. And so it's like, hey,
Mm, mhm.
take my hand and let me
Mm,
help you like come up to where you
yeah,
should, right?
absolutely.
No, I love it.
Absolutely. Well, because I think there's a lot of problems with this idea of manhood and
Mhm.
leadership and,
Oh yeah,
and all that I definitely want to talk to, I want to hit some more of these stats and then
absolutely.
go to, um, this Sunday, almost 25% of the married church-going women will worship without their husbands, according to this study.
That's crazy to me. I did, well, one, if the husband's even there, right?
Right.
Which
Oh, yeah.
that's a problem, right? But if the husband's
Mhm.
there and they're not worshiping, like, doing the whole
Mm,
like standing there and drinking coffee,
sure.
it's it's such a pride thing. It really is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I've learned the
agree.
hard way. I've learned the hard way, like, like this, I mean, clear, like, wow. Yes. But
We'll get there.
yeah, we'll get there. But, now, like, I'll be in church and, we're worshiping, right? And I look over and see down the line, and it's my wife and then my two boys and my daughter, right? And
Mhm.
my two boys, my one son, he's 15 going on 16, and he's got his hands up in the air as high as
Mm.
they can be and
Oh, wow.
singing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, my 16-year-old self would have been like, my hands up, but it's way down here by the pew because I don't want other people to see that, and that was
Sure.
me at 16. And that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
man, but now I don't take all the credit for that, but I will say that if you're leading your family, like
Mhm.
God's called you to lead them, that's what happens, right?
Sure.
Those things happen. And so, yeah, ugh, I
Yeah.
just, oh man, I can go on a full rant, like,
and
on,
and we will. I mean, this is the
I
kind of
know.
stuff that needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the stuff that's and it's because here's the challenge, right? Because of what's happening,
Mhm.
over 70% of the boys who are raised in the church, they're raised in the church,
Yeah.
they'll abandon it during their teens and 20s, and many
Yeah.
of them won't ever return.
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah.
So scary, but they're looking at it from the a male perspective, right? Like,
Hmm.
oh, I didn't have a father figure. Maybe they don't have a dad. I didn't have a
Sure.
father
Could.
figure or
Hmm.
anyone else in the church that they looked at as an example of
Hmm.
rooting themselves in God and understanding, building their own relationship with Christ, right? And
Right.
so as they grow older, where are they around? What's their circle? Their circle is, school, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just, what are you feeding yourself constantly? And if you don't
Sure.
have that male figure in your home or around church or whatever, then you're not going to get fed the right things.
No, no, yeah,
So,
you'll look for significance and identity in the wrong places.
absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And and here's the really strange part in this study. It talks that 90% of American men believe in God, which is good. That's
Mhm.
good. And even 5 out of 6 call themselves Christians. So,
Mm. Oh,
but
I'm going to talk
but
about that.
only yeah, I know you. Yeah.
Yeah.
This we might just keep this study and just break it down for like
Right.
the next 8 episodes. But only 1 out of 6 attend church on any given Sunday.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
you think so the average man accepts the reality of Jesus, but they fail to see the value of going to church.
Yeah. Well, no, well, yeah, of course, because they don't need, like, I always hear, this is what I've heard from, I don't know, we're not on YouTube, so but I'm doing air
No, we're
quotes,
not.
right?
Yeah, air
I'm
quotes.
doing air quotes, right? That I've heard from, like, these guys that are Christians, right? Air quote Christian. And they're like, I don't need to go to church. There was no church in the Bible. Jesus didn't go to church. Like, I don't need to go. I'm like, first of all, you ain't Jesus. All right. Let's get that out of the way. Okay. Hey,
Let's just
hey,
start there.
hey, where I'm at, his name might be Jesus, but he ain't the Jesus. All right. So we're
Yeah.
getting that out. Okay. Second of all, Jesus had community around him.
Mm-hmm.
He had community, and that's all church is. It's
Yeah.
community. It's community of like-minded people coming together to worship, to learn about God. But real quick, I want to go back to
Mm-hmm.
Christians
Oh
because
yeah. Yeah.
I,
Let's.
gosh, I said this I've said this on our podcast. I don't know what episode because I ramble, as you could probably tell. Right? Um, and I just heard, like, I saw a YouTube short of a pastor, amazing, like the things I've seen him say. And he's got a YouTube channel or podcast. I'm horrible with names. But anyway,
No worries. Yeah.
yeah, he was talking about exactly what I said too, is I don't necessarily like the term Christian anymore.
Mm.
Right. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, let me hook them with this like controversial title, right? I don't like
Right.
Christian. No, it's not it. It's everybody.
I'm an outlier.
Yeah, I'm an outlier. I don't like that word Christian. You know, now hook them, subscribe. No, no, it's not like that. It's there's too many people that say they're Christians, but they're not living their life for Christ.
Yeah. Oh,
And, you know,
absolutely.
and so like I've even started leaning more towards like when people are like, and this is gonna sound weird, all right, especially for
Mhm.
those of you who don't know me, you know, they're first listening to this is gonna sound kind of weird. But when people ask me, like, are you Christian? I'm like, well, I guess so, kind of, but I'm really a disciple of Christ.
Mm.
Like I want to
Mhm.
be, because I want that I want them to understand the love and the devotion I have. Because really,
Nice.
Christians a dime a dozen now. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
honestly, like
Sure.
you can go on the right now. I can go to Walmart and be like, "Hey, dude, you a Christian?" Of course, I'm a Christian. Oh, okay, cool. You know, and he's not living. I mean, I don't know what he's living. I could follow him. That
Mhm.
would be creepy, but I doubt. You know, majority of people, even from the statistics that you're saying, they call themselves Christians. They say that there's a God. They believe in it.
Mhm.
But man, if you really believed in it, would you be doing
Well,
all the things you're doing?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Do you really believe? I mean, you
Yeah.
say it, but do you know what you're saying that you believe?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, yeah. I usually go with the term Christ follower.
Yeah. Oh, and you see, that's even better too. That's good too. Like
Mhm.
it's just the term, like that term gets pushed around so much. And that's what this pastor was saying too. He's like, man, Christians a dime a dozen now. Like everyone's a
Mm.
Christian,
Mhm.
right? But then
Yeah.
really talk to him and see, like, hey, look, I sin. I still sin. I'm human.
Yeah.
Like I ain't gonna stop until I'm not human anymore, right?
Yeah. You're still
Like,
taking breath. Yeah.
yeah. And so like, but Jesus is like Luke 9:23. Die or oh shoot, now I'm questioning myself. I'm pretty sure it's not 23. Die to yourself daily, pick up your cross and follow me. Right. And
Mm.
so like
Mhm.
that one little sentence right there is like, hey, I get it. You're gonna keep sinning because you're flesh, but you need to try to die to yourself daily. So like if you claim to be a Christian and you believe in God, but you're not doing that, you're still doing all the things you want to do. Well, like that, you're not.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah. Yeah.
not.
You're
You're
not.
not.
There's no fruit. It's just,
No,
I,
exactly.
I what is that? Somebody said I can call myself a fire engine, but I still can't put out any fires. It's
But
just
that's a perfect example right there. Yeah. I can go down the street screaming like like a siren, like I'm a cop car, but I'm not a cop car.
just
Yeah.
doesn't make it so. What are we doing? Because here's the thing that's so sad about this, that because if men go to church,
Mm,
they're more likely to be married and express a higher level of satisfaction with their life
yeah.
by
Yeah.
going to church.
Because
And
you're go ahead,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, no, you
No, I
go.
was just all right. Church,
Keep going.
yeah, because church involvement is the most important predictor of marital stability and happiness.
Mm, I did not know that. I mean, I
Yeah,
think if you like, if I dive in and think about it, yeah, but like off the top of my head, I would not have
I mean,
not
it
thought
makes
about
sense.
it. It
You
makes
know,
perfect sense.
from what people were said, like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, it even research, right? Church involvement moves people out of poverty. Didn't know
Mhm.
that.
No,
Didn't
I
know
didn't know
that.
that either.
It also correlates with less depression, more
Yeah.
self-esteem, and greater family and marital happiness.
I love that. I love that because here's why it helped. Well, first of all, I'm not a doctor. All right. So we're going to get that out of the
Yeah.
way. But
Yeah.
first of all,
But we've stayed at a Holiday Inn Express.
I recently stayed at Holiday Inn Express, so I'm good. But I would venture to say the reason depression in that statistic is down is because their hope lies in something bigger than any of us can imagine.
Ooh,
Right.
yes.
Like, I mean, that's,
Mhm. Oh,
I think what
yeah.
it is. You know, I mean, I've been in tons of different situations in my life where if I wasn't a Christ follower or a disciple, then I don't know how I would handle that. Like, I don't
Right.
know, like I've told Lisa this a ton of times. By the way, Lisa's my wife. Because this is a new
Yeah.
new
Yeah,
side,
yeah,
right?
you may not know us. This might
Yeah,
be the
you may
first time you're
not know.
listening.
But now I've told her a ton of times, I'm like, I don't know how people do it without Christ.
Mm,
Like
mhm.
just whatever it is, I don't get it because
Same.
I know, like, yes, well, I don't know if I've ever been depressed, like clinically, but I've had my
Mhm.
ups and downs, and my downs is like, God's with me,
Mm.
like he's with you in
Mm.
the valley and on the mountaintop. And so it's like, well, I can get through this.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other side of this looks like, but I can get through it
Yeah.
because of Christ. Right.
That's awesome. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I mean, even when we're working with, because both Brad and his wife, Lisa, me and my wife, Jamie, this is Chris, for those of you who don't know us, we're still just learning us because you can't see us. Yeah. We both work with couples, and it's the challenge is, how are you possibly thinking you're going to get through this without God, without Christ on your side? It's just blows my mind. All right, so let me because this I love this last part, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up, because again, it's not beating people up.
No,
It's
no.
just it's trying to call them up. That participating in church leads men to become more engaged husbands and fathers, which that's good. But here's I love this part. Teens with religious fathers are more likely to say that they enjoy spending time with dad and that they admire him.
Wow. That's what you want, right?
Oh yeah.
That's what you want, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not just you be an ordinary man, not
No,
to
exactly.
be one of these, the majority of this, the 61% who aren't going, the 5 out of 6 that aren't going,
Yeah.
even though you say that you're a Christian, that you want, but you still want these things, but
Yeah.
you're
What in the world? All right. So good thing
you
you
still,
edit.
yeah,
Yeah.
you still want these things, but you're not doing anything to get it. And that's
Mhm.
why, you and I wanted to start talking to men, right? Wanted to start
Absolutely.
to get this out, instead of just talking to couples, which we can talk to men through the couples. But let's be honest. I don't know if you know your demographics. I don't know
Mhm.
mine great, but there's more women listening to our show than men.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we've looked at that. I've talked about it a few times, and we can kind of see like statistics, from our platforms that we use. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, predominantly women, like even Instagram, right? Like
Oh yeah, especially
Instagram,
Instagram.
I mean, there's tons of women that, comment on the content that we put out and all that, which is great. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to reach the men too. And I think that sometimes we are, right? But there definitely needs to be a place for men to come and just be real and truthful and listen to what do these dudes have to say? And
Yeah.
wow, that is actually, man, that's crazy. I mean, oh gosh, I just too, I'm like dwelling on a little bit of that where you're saying how the teens, look up to their dad, or I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember exactly how you said it.
They admire him.
Admire him, right? I think that I'm trying to think of my own life, and I want my kids to admire me, but that's not the goal, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
my priority is God, and then everything else
Mm-hmm.
falls under it. And I feel like if I live that out in front of my kids, they'll get it, right? And then they'll
Yeah.
start understanding that. And I think that if you would ask my kids if they admire me, they do. But and even though sometimes they're talking back and being kids, right? Like, but I just it to me, and I've learned the hard way, but to me, I wonder what that other side looks like, where that teen doesn't look at their dad specifically as someone they would even want to be like, or be,
Mm-hmm.
like I want my kids to be better than I've been, right? That's what we want for our kids, right? To be better.
Yeah,
So we're trying to
absolutely.
like, don't make those mistakes. Don't do that. We're trying to make them better. But I just like, I looked up to my dad. But I don't think his goal was to help me look up to him. I think his
Right.
goal was to help me look to Christ. And
Mm-hmm.
in that, that's what, and so I think that, I mean, that's what the statistic, that's what that statistic hits though, right? Is
Right.
that husband going to church, staying with the community, leading his family right, doing all those things. And then the byproduct is your kids are following you, right? They're following
Mm-hmm.
you, they're following Christ, they're following what the family does.
Right. Well, you're somebody to follow.
Yes.
They're going to follow you someplace. Are they going to follow? Are they going to follow you to better things? Or are they going to follow you to average, mediocre, or actually below mediocre? Because if you look at these stats, you're below average.
No, it's crazy. Oh gosh, it's so
those Ed Bundys.
Yeah, exactly. Not Ted Bundy's. That's different.
Yeah, that's different.
I mean, you don't want to be that either. But
yeah,
that's not
please.
what we're talking about. No, the statistics, and I've read some of those before, and they really, really just blow my mind. Yeah, my heart breaks, right? Like I think that's what it is. But if you look at the other side of those statistics where you're saying like the men that do go to church and lead their family and have that community with Christ and all those things, they feel, more accomplished. They feel, I can't remember exactly what you said, but the gist of it is they feel more accomplished and better about themselves, and their outlook on life is different. Well, really what that boils down to is you're doing what God has called you to do as a man that's married with a family, right? Like, he's called you to lead that family.
It's almost as if God's way is a better way to live. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
just throwing that out there.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Cut for this, but I forgot where we're at a time. I didn't set anything up in time, I thought this would have. All right. Do you think we have time to talk about ourselves and backgrounds and all that, or should we wrap this up and do that on another episode?
It's up to you. I got time.
All right. Okay. Because then we'll probably do the First Peter verse another time too. Because I don't want to overload the first one.
Overload that first.
All right. All right. So here we go. We'll go into us. All right. Come back in. Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, look, we came from different backgrounds. I mean, look, you came from a background where you were in a Christian household. I was not. Yeah. I didn't get saved till late in life, and so I was and this even having models of men, and leaders and all that kind of stuff. They're always, the sports guy or the the tough guy, the Tony Robbins kind of, those were leaders. Those were things like that. And I played rec sports, in middle school and even JV football, but then I stopped growing and everybody else did. So I switched to marching band. Hey. and of course into acting, right? So that was so that was that's kind of, I did some acting in college too. And, and I got a story about where acting took me, but, I guess my point is there's different definitions of what it takes to be a man, what it takes to be a leader, right? That I think gets skewed. I think we miss that men can be actors.
Yeah.
Just in case that bumped, that men can be actors, that men can be poets, that men can be, I know it's meant that, can be a little, what's deemed girly. They can be a little more, not as what am I thinking? They don't need to be all caveman.
Yeah. No, like a stereotypical like macho, right?
Right. Yeah. That much is, or because look, if I'm not, the two-time, Super Bowl winning quarterback who's now doing, talking to groups, well, then I really don't have a voice. Nobody wants to listen to me. No one wants to hear from me. But that's not true. I mean, that's what you were just saying, of your dad, what we're saying that these stats are, that that's not, so there can be different kinds of men, right? There's the ones that aren't so that way, but well, why don't you share how you became a man's man?
I've never been asked that question. I love it.
Because guys, we're not a video, right? But when you see the pictures, Brad is definitely a man's man.
No. So one day I picked up a weight. No, that's not. I never put it down. No, no. First, going back to the poetry and the acting, I always go back to David in the Bible. Like he was a poet and he was a warrior. Like a warrior among warriors. And he had that circle of warriors around him. Like, wow. Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I always go back to that because David, like, that's the ultimate. So for me, my background, it's just such a funny question. No, I love the question. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
I've been playing that one for weeks.
I love it. I knew it. No, I love that question. But so I grew up, my mom's side, everyone's pastor, basically. My uncles are pastors, and my grandfather was a pastor. So I grew up, in that, right? My dad was not a pastor. my dad definitely wasn't. He was he ended up being in law enforcement, and so I grew up around that, and the church. In high school, I was your typical, like, oh man, this is so ridiculous. I was definitely your typical, like, dude, right? Like, I grew up some in Southern California, so I surfed and skateboard, and then I know, I love it, and then when I moved, you can hear it, it doesn't sound like I'm from Texas, and then from there, when I ended up junior high, I started playing football, loved it. Through high school, played. Through college, no, I didn't get I got a scholarship, enough of, to buy my books. Basically, I didn't get like full ride Division I, nothing like that. I went to a private Christian college, actually, but no, I played ball there too for a while, and then I was like, I should probably graduate. Like, that's probably my next. I should probably get done with. I should probably get done with this school. So my dreams of the NFL like flew out the window because I was like, nah, that's not gonna happen. And then I got serious, like, I need to graduate. But no, I was around men that spoke from the pulpit, and my grandfather, he didn't grow up a Christian. He got saved later in life too. And he did all the things, right? Like, he had jobs on the side because he's just a poor pastor, right? So seeing my uncle's pastor, and they weren't quote unquote like, not manly men, right? And then having the side of my dad, this is actually getting a little deep, because I think this is kind of where I'm at now, right? Because then, I grew up around pastors and speakers, and then my dad, he, for 32 years, he was in the law enforcement field, on the federal side, and hearing stories and seeing what he did, and growing up around that, like, I was drawn to that, so I jumped into that. So I kind of always, like, I can't play an instrument. I would love to. I could play the radio. That's it. I admire when dudes
I could play Spotify.
Yeah, I could turn Spotify on just fine. No, I admire
Alexa,
like people that can play instruments, people that can sing. I can't sing. Well, I can sing, but nobody wants to hear it. and acting, like, I cannot. I've tried it. I can't do that stuff. So I think, though, like you're saying, there's so many different backgrounds, and society has put it to where it's like, these are the things you have to do in order to be like a manly man, right? It's not true. I feel like the true men that I've seen in my life and alongside me now are men that, number one, put God as their priority, unashamed about that. And then family, and leading their family well. And whether they, teach high school band or tote a gun around for a living, it doesn't matter, because those are all good, like your career. So I used to define myself by my career, and now I define myself how God defines me, right? Like, I love my career and it's been great. but tomorrow I could be replaced. You know?
Yeah.
And so like, I want to do what God wants me to do. Right. And so I think that's where men need to realize, like, that's what being a manly man is. I love how you just loaded that question up and fired it off at me. I love it.
Sorry, man.
Oh, I love it. Gosh. But no, I think that's that's a little bit of my background, and learning the hard way on how to lead my family. And so that's why my heart and my wife's heart is for marriages and for men to come up, right? Exactly what you're saying, just to come up, like, come on and stand up.
Right. Yeah. Just try to call you up, just, and not beat you down. Cause and when we were talking about doing a podcast for men and to talking to the men and doing some research, I mean, man, there's like all sorts of like Iron Man or, point man and like hard man and
man,
tough guy.
Man. And yes, I know. I mean, there's so many. Like,
it's like PX90 for men's podcast.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And I'm like, don't know if that's for me. I don't know. I couldn't. I'm not that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So if you don't think you're that kind of guy, we're not your average man here. We're not your average man, and we don't want to be your average man. But we want to be a place where anybody who wants to be more than just an average man can get sharpened, but also can know that, that it takes that God has fearfully and wonderfully made each and every one of us. He's given us a design and given us a purpose and a calling in our lives. Our ministry, if you're married, if you're a father, he's giving you a ministry, a leadership, and that's right. And for us to live that out in such a way that glorifies God the best that we can, and to know and to learn better ways to do that.
Amen. I love it. No, that's exactly what it is. Like, I hope like dudes flock to listen to this, not because I need a bunch of listeners. Like, that's not it, right. It's not like, oh, hopefully the dudes like come because I need a bunch of listeners. No. I want them to come because I want that change. Right. And if God is calling us to like speak into men's life for that change, and I don't have to like tote around like, oh, get a seat around the fire. And, like, let's have some, all black coffee and, shoot guns and lift weights and look at my beard. Like, that's all cool. I love everything I just said. I love. Right.
Look at my beard.
I do. Everything I said, I love. And I don't have a beard. So yeah, but everything I said, I'm down. I basically like listed my hobbies really quick in like a raspy voice, but that's what everyone tries to do. Is like, oh, let's hook all these dudes in with all this like, warrior, blah, 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 which is great. But I want like everyone is welcome here. And I want to be able to speak life, and I want their life I want them to be, be better than average.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we're going to be doing. That's what we're going to be talking about. We want you to be part of this journey with us, and so subscribe, or whatever your platform does, follow us, get on board. We'll figure out other ways to get in touch with us, as far as, because we're going to want to hear from people. We're going to want to, maybe we'll do something live sometime where people can, ask us questions. We're planning, we're already lining up different speakers to talk about different things, talk about real things, talk about tough things like pornography. That's going to be talked about, leadership, what it looks like, what the Bible says about leadership. I mean, guys, we're going to go through the gamut of all that, until we run out of things to talk about,
which we won't,
which we won't. No. And we'll do it all unedited because our wives aren't here. And because it's just a place for us to be able to talk about that.
Absolutely. No, I love it.
So come along with the ride for us. Make sure you subscribe. And until the next time, go be better than your average man.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it.